Since we talked last week, I know it's only been a weekend, but did you get a chance to reach out to anybody yet, or did you get bombarded with texts, or how'd that go?
Yeah, bombarded with text. A lot of friends, family, and just the baseball world. So I reached out to a few guys, but that hadn't started just yet. I'm excited. Next probably this week or whatever to get to contact some of the guys and start that relationship.
Hey Tim, congrats and welcome. I know when people talk about hitting coaches, philosophy is a very broad term, but how would you distill that for you and what you see as a successful approach for a major league team?
Yeah, I'm a simple guy. I like to keep things simple so that players can understand. We can have a confident approach. Yeah, I believe in some core principles, and three that I'm going to preach, day in and day out is game planning, swing decisions, and our movements in the batter's box. Game planning, we have so much information these days, which is great. I love information. But I think that's the art of coaching this day and age is funneling that information so we have that one, idea, that one thought that we can go compete in the batter's box. And I think a lot of hitters, they can only think about one thing at a time and hit 97 miles an hour. So game planning is big for me, is taking the information, what's the most important part, and let's go battle. Two is swing decisions. I mean, you're only as good as the strikes you swing at. I mean, it's basic. And I think you can break that down into two groups is chase percentage, kind of like, can we eliminate some chase? And what can we swing at? What are we swinging at for our strengths, in parts of the zone? And I think there's some ways we can identify that to get players swinging at their pitches. And then, lastly, is their movement pattern, is the mechanics. Just watching some video, kind of doing some studying here. I think that, some of the injuries cause some players to, get out of their swing. And I think the mental affects the physical. And when guys want to do more because they, some key players got hurt, and I think we can clean up some of those patterns and get them back into their groove and not trying to do too much. Have those thoughts where I need to get a hit or I need to hit a homer here, and I think that messes up the physical and just kind of get some guys back in a groove and that way. But I'm gonna stick to those three principles day in and day out, and kind of can examine and critique in that area. I think those are the fundamentals. But in the big picture of the offense, if you dominate those things, I also think that helps your team be prepared, be disciplined, and also be fluid. Because the fluid part of this is important because you have to be able to score runs in multiple different ways. And there's days that we can slug, and obviously this team can slug and hits the ball really hard. I'm excited to be a part of that. But also there's days when you got to score runs in different ways. And how quick can we be fluid into identifying that and do that as a group, and to be consistent with it.
Can that,
Tim, at
can
what point in
that,
time did you get a sense that even coming home was a possibility? And I mean, obviously, this is something you've wanted for a long time. Was it pretty quick after sites was removed? You realized this was a possibility?
Yeah, I mean, it totally caught me off guard, really. I mean, I was happy in Texas. Texas treated me great. I mean, every place I've been, but we had some special times there, some great friends, and the group is awesome. CY has built a great organization. And it just came out of nowhere, really. I didn't, just CY calls me up and says, "Hey, the Braves want to interview you," and it was just like one thing after the other. It moved pretty quick. Just kind of went through the interview process, and was excited. I told CY, yes, it is home. I needed for the for the family. They've chased me around baseball for many, many years, and I wanted to hear what the Braves had to say and see if it was a fit. I mean, I think that's a bigger part, is like, was it a fit? And could I help out? And after talking to Alex and the front office, and obviously Brian, and I felt at ease. I love their vision. I love the things that they had to say about building an organization, building an offense, and moving forward and winning championships. And so yes, it moved pretty quick, and I'm glad to be home. And I know it's not a big deal to other people. Uh, but to me, it's to my family, it's kind of it's rewarding to to work closer to home.
Tim, can it be the most frustrating thing about a hitting coach's job in that you recognize and the hitters recognize some in many cases that they're pressing, some guys are hurt, they're trying to do too much, and it's like everybody knows that's happening. Last year with the Braves that happened, and Sites said, I just hope, the next guy can find a way to get through to the guys and help them when they are pressing because he last year was just one of those seasons where he wasn't able to get guys to stop doing that. I mean, you've seen it, I'm sure, too, with Texas had a similar case where they went from what second or third in OPS plus the previous year to 20th last year, just like the Braves did. Combination of injuries and pressing and all that.
Absolutely. It's the players are kind of perfectionists. They want to do so well because they want to do it for the fan base. They want to do it for themselves and their teammates. And so when they you have these obstacles in the way of, like, Texas, obviously some injuries, and then the Braves with injuries, that mental can play a big part in it. And so, yes, that's part of my job to, help them see it in a different way, identify some things that can help them, relax at the plate, just do a little bit less to help the team out, change the narrative. But, the big part is creating a culture that in an environment so they come together and not trying to, put that pressure on themselves and be individual hitters, but more of like, this is a team approach. And this is 9-on-1. I do my part, pass the baton, move on, and let's find ways to score runs and win tonight, and tomorrow will take care of itself, but let's be a good team today. And I feel that's a part of my job.
Tim, you mentioned Alex and Snit kind of walking you through the vision of what they wanted the offense to be. Obviously, we know what the culture is. What sorts of things stuck out to you about kind of how they wanted to build this offense and maybe how they wanted it to be different, even though it's been good the last few years?
Yeah, it's been great. It's I just think they were just sticking to the fundamentals of what basic, complete offenses do. And it wasn't something that was overcomplicated. We have some talent. They know the talent's here. It's how do you get the talent to gel? How do you get the guys to continue to play together and and to focus day in and day out. I just love the simple approach. I know Alex has got a big scouting background. His job, he talked about, hey, Tim, I'm getting good players on the field, keeping them healthy, and then I hand it over to you guys, and do your thing. And he was just talking about Snit being, letting you do your job, but just the basics of baseball, like I talked about, is like I'm a simple guy. We have to have simple messages, and I like the one part where can't remember who was talking about it, but taking a lot of information, taking the wide to narrow, and just day in and day out, just doing those simple things that win games and not trying to make it more because when we have talent, so letting that talent show itself on the field and not get in the way of it.
What do you hear about Snit and what have you observed? Because you've had a chance to play and coach, especially coach under a lot of guys who are acknowledged or recognized as kind of ultimate players, managers. Is Snit like that? Is that an attractive part of going to work for a guy like this?
Oh yes, because just around the league, you hear players talk or whatever. He's got your back as a player, and I think that means a lot. He understands how hard the game is to play. He understands the obstacles, and he's there for you. And so I think that goes a long ways in helping produce a winning offense is when your manager is fully on board and has your back.
And when you hear people say, like last year, we would say, the Braves DNA, their offense, their lineup, you know, it, two strike approach when it comes to that, or hitting the ball behind a runner, or going the other way. The DNA is these guys are sluggers. When you hear that, what do you think about that as major leaguers? I mean, is it possible to expand a player's DNA? I mean, is it somewhat of an insult to say that the player can't make those adjustments in the middle of a season?
No, it's a great question. I think I had some experience with that with the 2018 Red Sox team. That the team liked to swing the bat, but they could impact the game. And that's what I see with this group. They can impact the game with one swing and change the scoreboard in a hurry. But also identifying those other times to, take it down a notch and be a complete hitter and win 90 feet to start rallies and understand how to score runs. I think there's multiple ways to do that. And I think that's where, the environment starts and then, the culture of getting those leaders together and what does it take to, to win games. Yes, it's in their DNA to mash baseballs and impact the game, but also, picking those little areas and spots, during the season, during, against different matchups to help them, see different ways to score runs. And I think we can do it. I think it'll be obviously be a challenge. But if you go back to the core fundamentals, if we swing at better pitches and if we're the most prepared, team offensively, I think those things blend into helping them, use the whole field, identify situational hitting and grind out with 2 strikes and not just give at bats away.
Have you ever worked with any of these guys? Are you familiar with them, cross paths with any of them?
No, not a lot. Just a lot of earlier days with Matt Olson. I think my son played with him like when he was 12, 13, being in the Georgia area. So just more as an amateur and things like that, but nobody else. Well, I take that back. Eli White was in Texas.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Tim, how do you deal with this age? And when I say age, it's probably been going on for a decade and maybe even longer. I mean, Chipper had his dad, McCann had his dad. Everyone kind of has their swing coach, but now we're getting into this world of Maven, and that kind of stuff. Other where guys are using that, a swing coach. How do you adapt that way as a hitting coach? Knowing, hey, they have their swing guy, I got to be their swing guy and their approach guy, or how do you handle that?
Yeah. It's I've dealt with this my whole career because everybody's different, and I think every hitter is individualized. And some guys need that one-on-one attention every single day and need, that comfort. There's somebody they've been working with, they have that relationship with, and it's a history there. So my job is to understand what's going on. What are they talking about? How can I, serve that hitter in multiple different ways? And if he has his own hitting coach, I mean, that's fine with me. But I just need to be in the loop and communicate, and so I can serve the player and understand exactly what's going on, so I don't get off message. Also, that we can come together, and then also have that communication where I see things also and can, communicate back and forth on that day-to-day basis of, helping them get what they need. But I have no problem with it. I think if it's done right with communication, it can be healthy. Because the player has a relationship with somebody. Obviously, it's worked in the past. They feel comfortable with that person. I don't see a big deal. It's more of the communication part.
You've had a lot of success in a job that typically comes with a lot of turnover throughout the league. How do you make sure when people say that new voice or a certain voice, how do you make sure that doesn't become stale on guys over a number of years, especially when you do work with a core that's going to be there long term?
It is. It is tough. It's sometimes your voice gets mute because you say some of the things over and over. Like I said, some of the principles you believe in. So yeah, you have to, always trying to simplify, always trying to, send your message in different ways and connect with players. Everybody takes in information or, has their own way of getting prepared for game time. And so trying to, over the period of years, trying to change that up a little bit, but not get off course, and understanding your player, because everybody takes in information differently, and understanding what they need to be ready at 7 o'clock.
Anything else for Tim? All right. Thank you for the time. Welcome to the club.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thanks,
Tim.
guys.
Thanks, Tim.
Look forward to seeing you guys at the field.
Yep. Likewise. Thank you.
Take care.
Yeah.